No one understands me. Everyone thinks that I'm trolling. I'm not trolling. I legitimately do not understand how Path of Exile is fun, and people don't understand what I'm saying. I noticed in the comment section. You just move forward at AoE. That's the game, and everything dies before you could actually even see what you're fighting against. I mean, okay, like some people say, well, you don't like hack and slash RPGs. That's not true. That's not the case. Not all hack and slash RPGs are like it. Okay, like for example, Diablo 4 isn't like this. Like, I actually get to see what you're fighting, and some monsters you gotta take them out because otherwise they resurrect their companions, and the spells don't make it clutter so that you don't see what's on the screen. How did you make it this far in a game you hate? I like the story. And I want to see what the story is so that when Path of Exile 2 comes out, I actually know what's going on. And I guess like Path of Exile 2 had really cool trailer, and hopefully it's different than this. But like like again, I'm not upset that the game is hard or anything, right? Because like if the game is hard, then you can actually just get good. But no, that's not the issue. It's the issue is that the game is easy. And people are like, oh, well, you're just level 40. It's like, okay, maybe it becomes maybe it becomes fun after like 10,000 hours of playtime. But like, why out of the first 10,000 hours so badly designed? Why someone else plays cheaper? No, but it's fun when you actually play yourself, though. Like, I actually enjoyed talking with the characters and stuff, and I did enjoy the first two acts. But it just got really bad from there. Like, the moment I managed to get the spells that I want, it became really bad. Yeah, I mean, it is what it is. Oh, by the way, so like my main gripe, to summarize, is that I kill the stuff that comes on the screen before I even get to see what I kill. And on the opposite end, I did die a couple of times by something that shot me off of the screen. So like, I didn't even get to see what killed me or why. After I died, I understood what the problem was, but like, all of a sudden, dead. There was like an enemy that had like a mortar ability, I guess. So you had to constantly keep moving. Like the moment you were standing still, it hit you. See, people are like, oh, you don't like hack and not all hack and slashes are like this. Like Grim Down, for example, is not like this. Okay, like there are other games. Even Diablo 2 wasn't like this. I mean, it became like this once you were like in hell and you reached the quote unquote end game. But like up until that point, it wasn't like this. Alright, like just no. A good game is that, alright, well, you gotta avoid the AoE, you gotta, you know, like, the bosses can have interesting mechanics, and the problem is, like, this game actually does have interesting mechanics with the bosses. The bosses are fine. Like, for example, the first boss, Brutus, like, he's got a hook, right? He pulls you close with a hook, and then he slams the ground. So if you stay there, you take a lot of damage. And he also has, like, a charge. So the boss is interesting. Like, he's got mechanics, abilities, that's fine, you know, this is what I want. The Emperor that you fight if you try to go into the labyrinth, that one is interesting. But anyway, thank you for the $5. If you like a tactical game, play Warhammer Mechanicus. Yeah, no, that one is good. This was a disappointment. Again, like a game where you just right click is not fun for me. People were saying, oh well, your left click is attack. It's like the normal attack. It's like, yeah, I know, I don't need to use any other button besides right click anyway, so. I like my RPGs turn-based. I do like turn-based RPGs, yes. It's not just the first boss that's interesting. Like, there's another one. Piety was fine. Like, the fight with her, like, she has, like, an electricity ball and you need to dodge. And Dominus was really fine. Like he summons this blood rain and you gotta go into a bubble so that you don't take damage. So, yeah. Right-click the slot, yes. Torchlight 2. I haven't played Torchlight 2. I did play Torchlight 1. I did enjoy it. I think like they're making Torchlight 3 or something like that. Heroes of Might and Magic, that's my childhood, man. That's how I grew up. That's my neighborhood. True RPGs are turn-based. You can't balance RPG stats with action elements. That's not correct, man. Like for example, Diablo 4 I think is actually a good game balance-wise. Like gameplay-wise... Story-wise, the game is shit. The graphics aren't that good. I mean, everything looks gray, washed up, horrible. The characters look awful. But, like, gameplay-wise, Diablo 4 is a lot better than Diablo 3, and I would say that it's comparable with Diablo 2 in gameplay. I like the fact that you got like different monsters. Like for example, you have the skeletons with a shield, and those actually absorb a lot of damage, and then you have like some other monsters that can stay behind and do a lot of damage with range attacks. I like that, you know, like that's how the game should actually be like. And then you have like monsters that do support, and they're in the back. You got certain monsters with abilities that you need to look out for. No, I like Diablo 4, unironically. Like, it's not a bad gameplay-wise. Story-wise, it's awful, though. Like, it makes no fucking sense. But, yeah. Endgame bosses are more interesting, but if you don't like clearing the easy things, you will suffer until you reach the cool boss. Yes, that's pretty much what I felt about Path of Exile. Hopefully they fix it. And even then, you know, like, if it's hard to balance the stats and shit, like, you would think that endgame would be hard, but, like, mid-game and early game, they would manage to get some balance going on. Haven't played Titan's Quest, no. RPG makes the moveset more gimped, though I haven't played any isometric action games. I don't think like the movement is gimped or anything. The game is fine, like movement-wise. I definitely enjoyed it, as I said before, up until Act 3, and especially like Act 4 is really bad. Is there really real RPGs these days? Yeah, they completely destroyed the genre. Like, every single game is pretty much like a little bit of everything. Kind of like Assassin's Creed. Assassin's Creed is like, you get, at least the latest ones, right? Like, you get XP, you get certain items that and craftables, and you get to pick a dialogue, though it doesn't really matter what you pick. And this is like what the game journalists encourage the gaming industry to do, to make the current video games a little bit of everything. I saw people talking about just some guy. Like, I don't want to respond to him anymore, I swear. And hey, Brainwash, it has been so long. If just some guy makes another video of me, like, I will just say that I'm not responding anymore. Like, I'll make one final video. He's been losing subs, and I don't want him to lose subs over this shit. Like, I don't even understand what he's doing. Like, I get it, you know, like, you want to make a video response, but, like, even if I make a video response and I see that my own audience doesn't like my take, and I get, like, ratio to high heaven, and you make another one and it's the same thing, like, at one point, just stop making them, you know? Like your job is to entertain people. And if people aren't entertained, then, like, just talk about something else. You're not going to convince people. See, this is like the left's, I guess, misinterpretation of reality. I'm not talking about just some guy, if he's watching when I say the left. It's like literally an ethos among leftists. They believe that if it wasn't for like the Alex Joneses of the world and the Ben Shapiros, everyone would vote Obama. Like, they believe that the YouTuber mind controls the audience. That's not the case. Like, if you have a take, like I have a take right now about Path of Exile, right? And a lot of people disagree with me. And if I get to see that I'm ratio to high heaven, I'll be like, okay, well, I suppose, like, it's just my take. I'm not going to convince people, right? Like, it's not your job to convince people who disagree with you. Your job is to entertain people. You're a fucking entertainer. You're not a brainwasher. You're not a re-educationist. You're not a teacher. You just want to entertain people. Make funny stuff. I thought that video of Path of Exile and my gripes are entertaining, but again, like, if people don't find it entertaining, then we talk about something else. The Aristocratic Utensil made a video about this. Yes, it was very cringe, unfortunately. I don't like listening to my own voice, believe it or not. Like, I had to listen to my own voice when just some guy made the video. I had to listen to my own voice while watching the Utensils video. If I have to listen to my own voice again, I'll probably die of cringe. I just don't want to. Yeah, the Spoon did a video. I also don't find it... I find it weird when people defend me as well. It's just weird. Or when I get compliments. I don't know how to react to them. Just like I got slammed by some interesting chap who I'd never heard before today. Yeah, I think like it's the utensil. Influencers could mislead the masses. Yeah, but like I don't try to. And even then, it's like, if you try to mislead the masses and the masses ratio you, you're not misleading properly. So even that is a thing. Like to mislead people is an art form. Not everyone can do it. So, like, if you want to mislead people, at least do it right. The moment you get ratioed, you're not doing it a proper job. You're not being a good propagandist. Did you ever enjoy or try an old game named Knights and Merchants? I heard about it, but I haven't tried it. Depends if it's simply flattery. I don't know. Like, I just don't take... It's not that I don't take kindly to people praising me or anything. It's just that I don't know how to react. It's just weird. Kabad V, you handsome, erudite, prince of funny. There's nothing wrong with compliments. I didn't say there's something wrong with compliments. It's just that I don't know how to react to them. It's weird. I'm not used to getting them. So when I do get them, it's very bizarre. I would only trust YouTubers for rating games. Yeah, I mean... I guess like when a YouTuber rates a game, like he actually shows the game on the screen and talks about it and exemplifies why it's good and why it's bad. But like political why do I watch political pundits? I watch them for two reasons, right? Because I watch right wingers and I watch left leaning people. Like I already have my ideas. When you're 37 years old, it's very difficult to change your mind, politically speaking. So I watch right wingers in order to know how to express the things that I'm already feeling, but maybe I don't know how to put them into words. For example, Matt Walsh helped me with something, right? Like, what is a woman? And many people will say, well, it's a person that gives birth, right? And the left would be like, okay, but like, what if the woman had her ovary removed because of cancer, or she had like her uterus removed? Like are those people not women? And Matt Walsh put it a different way. He said, a person that has the nature of giving birth, right? So like, that's interesting because now you can't deny the definition. Like if I go to a doctor and I say that my belly hurts and therefore I think I'm pregnant, no hospital is going to start giving me an ultrasound to find out if I'm pregnant because I'm not in the nature of giving birth, right? They see the cock and they're like, okay, well, you're not in the nature of giving birth. So a woman that goes to a doctor and says she can't produce sperm is also not going to get investigated. But a woman that goes to a doctor and says that she can't give birth, they will start running tests and they will try to see like, all right, well, you have an infertility problem. Let's find out why that is and how we can fix it, right? So it's like the nature. It's kind of like saying human beings are in the nature of having two legs. That doesn't mean that a person without one foot, you know, like let's say he went through a car crash, we don't say that, well, this person is not a human being because he lost one foot, right? No. But like because he doesn't have one foot, obviously there is a problem. In which case, it's like, well, why is it a problem? Well, because human beings are in the nature of having two legs. Male pregnancy was a meme. Yes, there was even a funny movie with Arnold Schwarzenegger about it. But like, basically, this is why I watch right-wingers. In order to, like, understand how to express myself better. And the reason I watch left-leaning people, like I watch the Young Turks, is because I want to hear what their arguments are so I know how to debunk them. Every now and then, you know, I can watch a left-wing video and agree with what they are saying. Vice versa can be true. I can watch a right-wing video and disagree with what they are saying. But overwhelmingly, like again, when you are at the age of like over 35, it's very unlikely you're going to change your political thinking. Like you already understand the world, at least, you know, from your point of view, you already have your opinions made. I mean, it can happen for people to change their mind. Muhammad Ali, for example, changed his mind. But it's very rare. It does go well with the expression, you can't teach an old dog new tricks. Sometimes we need a little confirmation bias to feel better. Yeah, I mean, I guess like the left is definitely trying to make people feel isolated. Like this is literally their tactic, right? So their tactic is to change definition in the Webster dictionary, like we saw with Amy Corey Barrett. They immediately changed the definition of sexual orientation and sexual preference. They get upset when someone says that their ideology is controversial. Like, for example, when Bud Light said that we're sorry we were controversial, like we never tried to be political, they got upset because they believe that no, like what our ideology is perfectly normal, healthy, and it's just like only an insane person would disagree with it. So like all of this is done in order to demoralize the opposition, to make people feel that they are alone, and if you think something, it's because you're crazy, right? Like everyone else is a normal person and it's a left-leaning progressive. It's only like a couple of far-right lunatics that believe things differently. Like, oh, what? Do you think that America should have a border? You're crazy. Do you think like drag kids story hour is a problem? Well, you're a far-right lunatic, right? Like that's what they're trying to do. They're trying to make it so that their ideas are viewed as normal, healthy, and shared by the overwhelming amount of society. Your ideas are crazy, fringe, conspiratorial, and you're probably the only one thinking this. So when you get like the confirmation bias, when you listen to someone that is experiencing the same problems that your experience is, you don't feel alone anymore. You feel like, okay, well, I guess like the problems that I have are experienced by different people. Like, for example, migration, right? Like when Europe opened its borders wide and you have like millions of migrants coming into Europe, the idea of like being against migration was viewed like it's a fringe far-right concept. And any talks against it was heavily suppressed. Now, what they were trying to do was to claim that anyone that's against migration is like a far-right lunatic. I mean, the ADF in Germany was a party which was started by some people from SPD, which is Merkel's party, center-right. Now, because they believed in controlled migration, so they weren't even like shut down the borders or anything. They just wanted like, no, we need to control the migration. They were labeled far-right crazies. And anyone that agreed with them was considered the same. And the propaganda was so hard against them that they had their members had their cars burned down, their homes vandalized. There were several bombs that were placed at their headquarters. Again, I don't even need to say, can you imagine what would happen if this were to take place against left-leaning people? Like, all of a sudden, you would consider anyone that does this to be a terrorist organization, and rightfully so. But because the AFD was targeted, I mean, they would say that it's bad, but it went away quite fast from the news cycle. A nation is a people, a country is a bordered geographic area. Well, what they want to say is that there is no difference between a nation and a country, and it's just a place where economic transactions take place. Like, this is the new idea of a nation. And the interesting part is the concept of global citizen. Like, the global citizen is one of the scariest concepts that was ever made. And I will tell you why. So global citizen, or citizen of the world, it means that there is a world sovereign. Right? Like, in order to be a citizen of the world, it means that there is a world sovereign. Now, the problem is like, okay, so you're a citizen. Like, what are your rights? Like, what rights does a citizen of the world have? And they answered, this was at a speech at the United Nations where they proposed this idea initially. They answered, they said, well, it's not about rights, it's about responsibilities, right? So it's responsibilities about protecting the planet and shit. But this is slavery, basically, right? So you have no rights, there is a world sovereign, and you have only obligations. I mean, this is feudalism, at best, slavery at worst. But I do think like it's actually below feudalism, because even in feudalism, the peasantry had rights. For an American example, a common shot at Trump supporter. Like there was a Trump supporter that got shot, and it disappeared from the news cycle. It's not even that he got shot; he got assassinated. Like he just walked on the street, some leftist shot him, no reason whatsoever. Like no altercation, no nothing. He was just walking on the street when someone shot him, and that's it. Like that's the end of that story. I heard it on the news a couple of times. I think like the guy even got interviewed by a mainstream outlet, and that's it. So yeah, I mean, if you want to see just what the news is doing right now, in South Africa, they had a song by the ruling party, "Kill the Boer," right? So the Boer is the white farmer. Now they will claim that, well, actually this is an old song and it symbolizes a struggle or whatever. I don't know. I mean, I think it's a little bit of a hate speech song, you know. But the media is saying that the song fuels backlash in South Africa and the US. Right-wing commentators claim that an old anti-apartheid chant is a call to anti-white violence, but historians and left-wing politicians who embraces it say it should not be taken literally. Yeah, but like actual farmers are being killed in Africa, okay? Like, this is a thing. You got legislation that is against the white farmers. I mean, if you were to find like a historical song that would be, I don't know, against Japanese people, and this song was sung in World War II or some shit, I don't think like it would be promoted today, right? But anyway, like this is like what's happening with the Kill the Boer song. Meanwhile, professors claim that Jason Aldean's Try That in a Small Town contains coded racial language pictures, right? So, like the song that literally isn't about race. Like, well, when I first heard it, I thought about Antifa. And the song is literally just like, well, the only reason you can do that in a large city is because no one stands up to you. But, like, in a small community, like, people will stand up, right? Like, the song is literally built around cowardice. It's like, you're a coward because you do it in a big city, right? Because you know that no one is going to do anything against you. But in our town, you're not going to pull this shit. I don't see how, like, this song can be interpreted in a negative light, unless you side with the destruction of property, right? So this song is now considered to be harmful, evil, but a song that actually advocates and is sung by the ruling party in by the ruling party in South Africa, and they're advocating for killing white farmers, like that's fine, according to professors. There is a lot of African Americans who have country values. Well, apparently, Outlier, which is a subscriber of mine, and you guys know him as a regular, he's a black person with a rural background. Are you saying Boer or Boer Urns? Boer. Communists deny killing people for race? I mean, it depends. China has a Uyghur situation. I would say that is racial. But, yeah, I mean, usually communist regimes did not kill people based on race. They did it based on class. But it depends on the strain of communism, right? Because Marx, when he wrote communism, it was like the bourgeoisie versus the proletariat. So like these were the factions, right? And it was class-based. But there have been other strains of communism, like university professor that took Marx's teachings and radicalized them further. And it doesn't have to be race. It could be literally anything. It doesn't have to be class. It could be anything. It could be race. It can be sexual orientation. It can be just whatever. You know, men versus women. It doesn't really matter. Like, if you keep the ideology, like the ideology is the same, but you like apply it to different groups, you're still going to get the same result. Like the whole idea of Marxism and communism in general is to spark animosity against a group of people. Now, again, like that group can be a class-based group, right? And notice how class isn't a protected characteristic, right? So, like, they will say, well, these are protected identities, and they will say, like, race, ethnicity, they will say sexual orientation. Class isn't one of them. I suppose communism will always be looking for the next villain. Well, it's really an ideology used to gain power. It's not an ideology to fix the world. So like the Marxists, like look at the Sam Piker, like what's her name? Anna Kasparian said it very good. Like she pointed out that all of these socialists on Twitch, their whole job is to make money. Like their ideology is to enrage people so that they give donations. For some reason, like notice how when you're being controversial, you get donations. Like if I get when I'm on Archcast and I argue with Devo, that's where the donations come in. If I'm making a video about Just Some Guy and we're having like video reviews, people donate. But for some reason, you know, if you make wholesome content or you just do some chatting, then the donations don't flow. Like people like drama, that's the answer. Communism offers a lot of drama. So if you manage to be like the thought leader, then, well, you get the money coming in. Yeah, socialism pays well, literally. And I already made a video where I talked like there's 3 types of socialists. You have like the foot soldier, the Lenin, and the Stalin. So the foot soldier is the random Antifa dude, you know, the communist on Twitter. He literally does it for free. He's like a Janny. Most of them aren't very bright or smart. They don't really understand much. But like they're like attack dogs, you know, like they stay on the Discord and someone tells them, well, this is a bad person, so they go and they flag that person's account or they try to get that person in trouble. You know, they will go and look at that person's social media to see what they posted in the last 9 years. So this is like the foot soldier. But then you have the Lenin. The Lenin is a small person that managed to get a following. Usually a woman, but it can also be a man. And these are like some small bloggers or they may be like some small YouTubers or Twitch streamers. Like they promote socialism, but they're not overwhelmingly successful. However, they do start to make money off of it, right? So like they have a following. They may own a Discord. They may have like some of the foot soldiers. But like at this stage, the communist realizes, okay, well, I can use this ideology to gain more power. And then you finally have the Stalin. The Stalin is already wealthy as fuck. Like he already made a lot of money by pushing the ideology. And the Stalin is at this point, you know, this is my stuff now. If you come over to take it, I will shoot you. Right? So the Stalin is the one that makes the walls around his mansion. The Stalin is the one that like now wants to keep the stuff that he made. Like he's not a social. Well, I mean, he can be a socialist in name only, but like he's very conservative when it comes to his economy, right? You can point this out to like the BLM ladies that already bought the large mansions with the money that people donated. Like they're the Stalins. They already have their stuff, right? Like Hassan Piker with the mansion that he's got and his $3 million studio. These are like the different types of socialists, I would say. They never used the money to set up a mutual fund or a commune or anything else. No. I think like that there was actually a person that did try to do that. The internet used to know him as Black Hitler. He actually had a cult. Like, he got arrested for it. He had a cult. I think it was like the Black Hammers or something like that. And they actually did go into the mountains trying to start a commune. And he got donations from people to do so. But unfortunately, as he found out, the mountains don't have really fertile soil. So they couldn't grow any crops. And it was an abject failure. So, yeah, that project didn't work. Yeah, I don't know if he was like a gay Hebrew Israelite or whatever, but like he had a YouTube channel and he was incredibly racist, like unbelievably so, to the point of like caricature. Like you would laugh watching his video. He was like, white people have like toilet seat complexion, that type of arguments, and I was like, dude, look how much they need to do in order to match our power. Like, we only have one word, and look at like how many euphemisms they have to come up with. Yeah, like land back. Yeah, land back. He literally like went into the mountains. Like, I don't know if Gazi Kodu was his thing. Let me hold on. Let me see if I can find but there was like a lot of problems with this. Like, apparently he, like, some people claim that they were sexually molested in his little organization. Anyway, right, so let's see. He's in the news, the Daily Dot. Ex-Black Hammer member detailed Ghazi Kodo's abusive cult, which culminated in arrests for kidnapping and sexual assault. Yeah, who would have suspected this by watching his YouTube videos? So, apparently, according to reports, someone called 911 to say that they had been kidnapped. At least 10 people willingly exited the home, but one remained inside. Police later found the man dead from a gunshot to the head. Augustus C. Roman and another individual now face multiple charges over the incident. Neither has been charged in the person's death, which has been ruled a suicide. Roman, who faces 7 charges, included aggravated sodomy, conspiracy to commit a felony, false imprisonment, kidnapping, aggravated assault, and a criminal street gang activity, is better known as Ghazi Kodo. The address in question is a home to the Black Hammer organization, who apparently fights for the rights of those oppressed. Those that knew Kodo accuse him of operating it like a cult. Over the past year, former members spoke out against Kodo, realizing a Google Drive file with testimonials that allege abuse, manipulation, and other frightening behavior. Their online effort has tried to keep people away from the Black Hammer, highlighting the experience they've had already left them shaken to the core. Black Hammer, which says its goal is to repatriate land, to colonize people, and supports Pan-African ideology, has been better known for its online stance. It conducted a campaign on Twitter to brand Anne Frank a Karen. Oh yeah, I remember that. Like that, I always wonder where the fuck did that come from. And then it's like, oh. And used social media to livestream its in-person antics. In the warrant of their arrest, obtained by the Daily Dot, the police say that Kodo ordered individual to point guns at 2 people and force them into a padlocked garage. It's an accusation that matches testimonials from the Google Drive, where a former member says that Kodo, a member of the Black Hammer, forcibly detained her and often brandished weapons. But like, I'm curious, I'm not curious about the cult. I know they actually tried to start a commune. Like, this is why I found it interesting, right? Because like, usually I'm like, well, commies be commies, you know? Like, you're just describing communist behavior up until now, which obviously is problematic, but I wouldn't call it shocking. You know, it's like to be expected type of thing. However, the thing that really surprised me is like, wait, they actually started a commune? Because that was like what's interesting. Because like, I've never heard of commies actually trying to implement their ideology. Right? Like, they're very good at speaking. They have like good speeches. They're really good at tearing shit down, destroying what other people have built. Like, they're experts at it. You can say that they have a PhD. But they rarely, if ever, actually build something, right? So, like, when I heard that, oh, well, they're actually building a commune in the mountains. Oh, this is interesting. So I looked it up. And it didn't work because the ground wasn't fertile. And I'm thinking like, okay, so you went to the mountain to discover that the ground wasn't fertile. I mean, that's a big brain move. What can I say? They just squatted on someone's land. Probably. I mean, the thing is, like, when you're in the mountain, even if it's someone's land, like, they probably don't even know that there are squatters there. Right? Like the interesting thing about America, if you're a European, they have, like, massive, massive plots of land to the point where you can go in a tractor and you can drive for more than half an hour and you're still on that guy's property. Like, this is something that we here in Europe just don't understand. Zenith, thank you for being a member for over a year. By the way, guys, if you like the channel, please do become members as well. The Quasimodo guy reminded me of the pop star in The Fifth Element. Yeah, a lot of people were either calling him that or Black Hitler. Like, those were his nicknames. Why rock grow no food? It's actually hilarious. It also reminds me of the, what was it? The Capitol Hill Autonomous Zone. Like, the Capitol Hill Autonomous Zone also had the garden. The Garden of Healing or some shit. Oh my fucking god. They grew twice as much as Chaz. You know what? They probably did. Um, Tractors don't go very fast. That's not the fucking point. The point is, like, even in Europe, you like own a tractor, you will not be able to like drive for half an hour and still be on the same product. Like, it's a very rare case. Ruby Rod is the name? That was an engineering joke. A body from Sask was his systems, and design had business plan to master a walk into management. Where did that come from? Both Chaz and Chop has garden, yes. Alright, let's talk a little bit about Rita Sarkeesian. This is going to be the video that I'm going to make on my secondary channel, so you guys get to watch it before everyone else, but... feminist frequency. This is what the person on Twitter is saying. I'm not going to show it on screen so that you don't see the name. Honestly, like, YouTube's rules against harassment and bullying are the ones that really ruined comedy on YouTube. The thing is, like, what does that mean? What does that mean? Like, if you criticize a person that is known, is that harassment and bullying? Well, it's up to the YouTube moderator to decide. So this is why, like, most people don't even include it. But usually it's like if the person is bigger than you, you can punch up. Like, this is literally what I've been told by a manager, right? So, like, if it's bigger than you, you can punch up. If it's smaller, you're not allowed. So this causes the weird situation where, like, little people get to bully and do whatever, say whatever they want against other YouTubers and they can't defend themselves. But anyway, right? This person is neither big nor small. It's got 235,000 views. And they're like you're going to hear what this person is saying all over Twitter right now. Feminist frequency was such a bizarre phenomenon because every video was just Rita Sarkeesian going, "It would be cool if women in video games could have thoughts and feelings," and this netted her a decade of unceasing death threats. Right. So, like, this is a complete rewritten of history. And it's not only that, like, you can look right now about what her videos are. Like, you can find them on YouTube, but, like, the only reason they know that by saying this is not going to get them fact-checked is because her videos are so fucking boring that no one wants to watch them. Her videos were, like, first of all, before Anita Sarkeesian, we did have good female characters. Like, go play Baldur's Gate, go play Neverwinter Nights, Lady Arabeth just comes to mind, Bastille from Star Wars. Like, there are so many examples of properly and well-written female characters. Obviously, it's kind of difficult to come up with many examples because, due to the limitations of the technology, most games didn't have, like, a compelling story up until that point. Like, most games would have, like, one, maybe two cinematics. But there were exceptions, of course, right? So, like, no, like, Anita Sarkeesian didn't create interesting female characters. Like, that is a lie. Secondly, her videos weren't about that. Her videos were implying heavily that game developers are sexist and misogynistic pigs. Gamers themselves are sexist and misogynistic pigs. And if you like video games, you're sexist and a misogynistic pig. And probably racist as well, right? So this is why the internet was upset. It's because she was indirectly attacking them. And this was in a time period where gamer was an identity. It's the same way, like, black person is an identity. Back then, a lot of people really cared about the gamer identity. So she was attacking gamers, and gamers were upset, and they were launching criticism back, and she was like, oh my god, I'm getting harassed, mainstream media help. And that was the activism that she was doing. And she didn't want, like, female characters to have thoughts and feelings and whatnot. No. She wanted female characters to be completely desexualized, right? So no sex appeal whatsoever. Male characters could get sex appeal, though. Like, that's fine. Just female characters, no sex appeal. And what's interesting is that she complained about the tropes that she considered sexist. And then, like, at one point in a video, she made an example of what a story for a good video game should be. And it was literally every single trope that she complained about. Modern female characters are all strong women that are immune to consequences. Yeah, like, literally, you weren't allowed to have, like, any negativity associated with your female character. You weren't allowed to show that they failed. I remember, like, she complained about, well, yeah, she wanted donations, of course. And not just donations, but, like, she wanted every single gaming company to have an advisory role for someone to help them write proper female characters. And not for free. Like, those positions cost a lot of money, so that's what happened. Anita Gunn, what happened to Zoe Quinn? So Zoe Quinn, as far as I know, has an actual kill-death ratio. Like she has 100 on, and yet, despite all that, she's still hired by the comic book industry. Now, I don't know if they let her go or she's still working, but from what I know, like, she got a couple of flagship comics, even though, like, before that, she never claimed that she liked comic books. So all of a sudden, someone hires her. I know that she became a furry at some point, so I can't tell you more than that. She was the original of having diversity, equity, and inclusivity consultants. Yes, like she actually had I think like she had a company called Silver Thread or something like that. And she would shame AAA companies about being sexist, and then they would collaborate with that company, pay that company money for like a collab to look at their game, to make sure that everything is fine. And then all of a sudden she would stop attacking them. She ran away with Kickstarter money, probably. The reason that I really disliked Zoe Quinn, there was this forum of people that called themselves wizards. And it was a forum of like 40-year-old men or something who couldn't get a date, right? Like they were virgins. Now, they weren't any harm to society or anything like that. It's just like they didn't know what to do, like they didn't know how to behave. Like probably a lot of them suffered from autism or whatever. They were very depressed. Like that forum even had, from what I know, it had like a suicide hotline, right? Like that's how bad it was. It's like, so these were like harmless individuals, right? Like they weren't doing a political movement or anything. Like they just reached a point in their life where they couldn't get companionship. They were still virgins and they were trying to cope, right? Like they were trying to figure out a way on how to live life through the depression that they're having. Usually, if you can't get a woman by the age of 40, it's probably because you may have like certain mental issues that prevent you from functioning in society. Let's put it like this, right? So I can see why they would be having depression. It's not about sex. Yeah, I mean, it's sad, like, it's kind of like a thing where, like, a lot of people laugh about it, but, I mean, what is there to laugh about? Yeah, like, some people don't make it in life. Some people are very successful, some people do the proper thing, and other people don't. It's like, it is what it is, like, when you're going to have winners, you're going to have losers. It's just how the world works. And those people just wanted to be left alone, right? Like, they're making a corner of their internet, which, that's their thing, and they just want to talk with each other because they're very lonely and depressed. So now you have Zoe Quinn and Kotaku making articles and mocking and shaming these people. It's like shaming homeless people, literally that level. Like, just because the person doesn't have a home, and then, like, can't get a job or whatever, why are you shaming him? I mean, yeah, being homeless is not something that most people would consider that you're a winner in life. But why would you kick a man while he's down, is my question. 46-year-old, never been on a date. Is that true, Slickson? Is that really a thing, or are you just saying it because it's the subject? Yeah, it's literally the same people who love to use the phrase punching down. I do agree. A man is suffering. Let's all point and laugh. Kotaku. Pretty much. They would never do it to women, by the way. Like, if it was a bunch of women that had, like, a forum because, they can't get a man, and they would be, like, really depressed. Like, no one would go to that forum and start mocking them. They absolutely had no power, by the way. These individuals were, again, like on the verge, to the point where, like, they had a suicide hotline. That is true for me personally. Well, I'm sorry to hear that, Slixian. I wish I could help. I don't know how. But, like, I don't know your situation, so I don't know how to help. But like again, if you're in that position, it's probably self-esteem problems. And if I tell you go to the gym and work out, you probably tried that already, so it is what it is. It's not like most of them probably weren't even right wing, like probably were apolitical. At that point, the world wasn't as divisive. So they were like just random guys on the internet, and they were on a website sharing anime pictures and shit. I don't think like attacking those people is a morally righteous thing to do. But well, I mean. And by the way, like, this is the first time I realized that social justice activists can be really nasty pieces of work, right? Because, like, on one hand, she was talking about tolerance, acceptance, being nice to people, you know, helping others, equality, and all that. And then she makes an article attacking those individuals and mocking them. And I'm like, okay, well, if you're mocking these people, why do you think you shouldn't be mocked? Because, like, the moment someone was mocking her, it's like, oh, well, you're a misogynist. It's like, okay, fine, you know, I get it. But, like, you're literally mocking them because they're men. Because if they were women in the same situation, you wouldn't be mocking them. I remember a YouTube clip that Proof Sarkeesian said there is no female main character, and that was not even true. Oh, yeah, I mean, she lied in her videos all the fucking time. Like, that's another reason that pissed people off. Like, she would constantly lie in her videos. Social anxiety and weight issues. I don't go to the bars and stuff like that. Also, Joyce should have been jailed. I don't know, like, if she should have been jailed. I don't think, like, she committed a crime or anything like that. Because, I mean, theoretically, she accused the guy of raping her, right? And I don't think, like, the guy did, because her accusation was just so bizarre. Like, the guy was half her size. You know? Like yeah, on average, men are stronger than women. But when you look at her, like, Zoe Quinn with one hand behind her back could have immobilized that guy. And the way, like, she was describing it was that he physically dominated her. And I'm like, dude, I don't see that. Like the guy's head was reaching her tits. Like, there is no fucking way, you know? Like, she could literally sit on that guy, and that guy wouldn't be able to move. So, but the thing is, like, in order for her to go to jail, like, you'd have to prove beyond the shadow of a doubt that she committed the crime, and I don't think, like, any jury would have bought it. I feel for those lads, honestly. Don't know how I'd approach women either. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing, you know, like, I already have a happy life. I mean, I got a wife and everything like that, but I can still empathize with other people that don't, you know? It's... I guess, like, it's the assumption that if a man doesn't manage to get a significant other by a certain age, then there is something wrong with him. And the reality is, like, yeah, maybe there is something wrong with him. Like, maybe he's got autism, maybe he's got social anxiety, maybe he's got other issues, right? But that doesn't mean that he's a bad person or you need to mock him for it. It's like, would you mock a woman that has social anxiety? I mean, it's just, I don't know. A false accusation should be criminalized. Yeah, but the problem with false accusations, and I think, like, they are criminalized, like, even if the thing itself, even if the false accusation isn't criminalized, the very act of, how should I put it, wasting police resources, right? Like, that is criminalized. But it's very difficult to prove. That's the thing, right? Like, you need, in order for it to be a crime, you have to prove beyond the shadow of a doubt. So, like, let's say that I accuse you of something, right? I accuse you of taking a bribe. You can be found innocent because I don't have the evidence, but that doesn't mean that my accusation is false, right? It's just that I didn't manage to prove it. So in order for me to actually be accused of falsely accusing you, you would have to prove it that I falsely accused you. And that's very difficult to do. It's not impossible. Like, sometimes you can prove it with chat logs. Like, for example, Aquila obviously had to pay Sargar of Akkad the damages for the lawsuit because she was bragging on Twitter saying that I am suing him in order to get him in trouble. She said that out loud. So that is why she actually got into the legal matters. But otherwise, she wouldn't. Like, normally, if she would have shut the fuck up, she wouldn't have had to pay Sargar of Akkad legal damages. Beyond a reasonable doubt, not beyond a shadow of a doubt. Hey, look, English is not my main language, so I can always say me no speaky English. She'll get you fired for the false accusation. Well, you know, like, this is an interesting part. Romanian society doesn't function like this. So, like, let's say someone accuses me of murder, and I'm a university professor. Now, this is a serious accusation. What ends up happening is that the university suspends me, so I don't go to my job for the duration of the lawsuit. If I'm found innocent, the university unsuspends me, and if I'm found guilty, then they fire me. Like, this is a normal system, I would say. Right? So, if you sue someone, like, if I were to sue a university professor, it depends on what you're suing them, right? Like, if you're suing them because they pickpocketed you, probably not. But if you're suing them for like, a gross accusation, they get suspended. Sometimes with pay. I think, like, most of the times is with pay, because if you suspend them without pay and they're found innocent, then the university has to pay them. So yeah, like, you get suspended for the duration of the investigation, and then you get either fired or you get reinstated. I think, like, this is the perfect system, right? Because you're innocent until proven guilty. And it's the same thing, like, if you're, for example, arrested. Like, let's say you get, like, what Andrew Tate does. He gets placed under house arrest, so he can't go to work if he were to have a job, you know, like, somewhere else. They suspend him. It's kind of like if you're a pregnant woman. Pretty similar, right? Like, so you're pregnant, you get to stay home. You still manage to be employed by your job, but you don't have to show up. And you get maternity leave. And after that, you go back to work, right? So they can hire someone for the time that you're suspended. But anyway, in America, it's not like that. In America, if you got the accusation, you're fired, period. And I don't think, like, that's a fair system. Where did Vitachi chat show me the doll? On Path of Exile, I think. Like the chat is showing Path of Exile right now. Man, I wish that game was fucking good, unironically. I really love the story. I enjoyed the story so much. And the game is so shit. Why do leftists sometimes say he's an incel about someone who has kids? Oh, it's virgin shaming is what it is. It's like calling a woman a bitch. That's what they're doing, right? Like, they're not really caring about the word itself. It's an insult. It's like saying God damn it. Like, you don't have to be a Christian in order to say God damn it. It's just like an insult. And Path of Exile, an euphemism to you? No, I made a video game. I made a video from that video game early, so you should watch it on my other channel. It's not good. Everything dies before I even get to encounter it. I don't even know what I'm fighting. I don't even know why they bother making models for the monsters. And occasionally I die by someone by something off screen. Like, there is something off screen that shoots at me and I'm dead. I don't like that game. Incel just means a man who hates women? No. They use that insult all the fucking time. Like, for example, if you go on Twitter and you say that you want sexy women in video games, they will call you an incel. Like, it doesn't matter. It's not, again, like, these insults don't make sense. They're just there in order to try to attack you so that you can put yourself on the defensive. It's a very, you know, like, it's a very smart insult. Like, I realize, like, the greatest insults are the ones that the communists have made. Right? So, like, what I mean is, like, if someone calls you a motherfucker or a son of a bitch, you don't stop the argument and you try to explain that, hold on a little bit, like, my mother is not a bitch, or, you know, I have never fucked my mother, how dare you? Right? Like, these insults are bad insults. Good insults is when you call someone a racist, when you call someone a sexist, when you call someone an incel, because now they stop the argument in order to try to explain, well, actually, I'm not an incel, actually, I'm married. And that's when you lose, right? Because instead of attacking, like hammering your point through, you're now changing the conversation and you have to prove, well, actually, I have black friends. Actually, I'm not a rape, right? These are an amazing insult. Yeah, accusing someone of being a chomo is on that level. Right? Like, calling someone a racist or accusing them to be a chomo is on the same level because now the person has to defend themselves. It's why the left also starts to do it with people on Twitter who like anime. It's like, I have a feeling that this is what Jessup guy was getting around with Elon Musk. Because it's like, oh, well, Elon Musk, which is Tony Stark, by the way, he is the one that reinstated an account that posts images of children. And I'm like, okay, well, if he did that, like, I don't know, but like, if he did that, why isn't he in prison? Like, it's illegal. What you're describing is a crime. Why aren't the police arresting him? Oh yeah, I do that. You know, like, if a leftist calls me a racist, I just call them a chobo. It's like, just by default. And they're like, oh, why are you doing it? Well, why are you calling me a racist? I mean, if we're at that level. When someone calls me a motherfucker, I just start singing the Lonely Island song. No, but like, these are bad insults, right? Like, these are insults that don't accomplish anything. Like, you call someone a motherfucker, they're not going to start explaining, well, actually, never in my life have I fucked my mom, you know? I'm not, like, Christian or anything. No. Like, these are bad. But if you call someone a racist, now they're like, well, actually, I'm not a racist, you see. I'm a... They don't care. They don't give a fuck. Like, they're insulting you. They're trying to ruin you. They don't really care if you are or aren't. Like, how many times did you call someone a racist, and that person went like, okay, well, I'm not because such and such. So they were like, oh, well, I see. My bad. I'm sorry. I didn't realize. My mistake. Insults I like would get me banned. I know the feeling, Katis. I know the feeling. Katis Fineto. I definitely feel what you are feeling right now. At this point, I just answered with thank you for noticing. Well, I mean, like, on the internet, these insults are done because the Trust and Safety Council will ban you. In real life, they do it when they're filming you or when they have like a group of friends that need a justification to start violence. So, you know, like the insult itself isn't the problem. It's the consequences for being labeled as such. It's like being labeled a witch during the medieval times. Right? Like, no one cares if you're being labeled a witch now, but if you're in a village where they have mobs with pitchforks, well, all of a sudden, it's like being called a witch is not that fun. I am a wordsmith with insults. That's great. I'm sure the Trust and Safety lady is also a wordsmith with bans. Man, imagine being like a Facebook censor. Holy shit. I would say chemo, but for whatever reason, chomo is what caught on and is used. It's often used in prisons, apparently. I don't even know like why chomo is a thing, but yeah, they use it. What is chomo? It's a child molester. I don't know why the O is there. Don't Facebook censors have like severe PTSD? They claim they do. I don't know. I mean, I will tell you why I don't think that's the case, and a lot of people will say, well, actually, V, you don't understand. Dude, I understand. I've been at the hospital. I saw dead people, okay? The first time you see it, it's really fucked up and disturbing. But like after you see it several times, you get used to it. It's like human nature. We get used to good and bad things. Like, it's not just with the bad things, right? Like, for example, a doctor. Do you think, like, they get shocked every time they are in an operation? No. Like, the first time you see a man cut up, you cringe. It's like, ugh, right? But, like, after you saw it 100 times, you get used to it. So, imagine, like, being a neurosurgeon and operating on someone's brain. Like, the first time you see a human being with like, its head open and your brain is there and your fingers is in it, I bet it's not a pleasant experience, but after a while, you get used to it. But the same thing happens with positive things. Like, let's say you're filthy rich, you're Hassan Piker, right? You're a good socialist, so you made it. And you live in $1 million mansion. Do you think, like, Hassan Piker wakes up every day and goes like, oh my god, I'm so rich, no. Like, you get used to it. Right? So, like, it's the same thing with the Facebook censor. Like, after a while, you must get used to it. There's no fucking way that you're telling me that it's like a normal person seeing the nasty shit for the first time. During medic training in the army, I literally got thirsty whenever they showed slides of battlefield injuries. Ugh. How does brain feel? I don't know. I never actually went to a neurosurgery thing. Like that's probably where med students aren't even allowed to go. Like the room needs to be incredibly sterile, so they try to limit access to people. I did go and I saw certain surgeries, abdominal surgeries. I saw a heart surgery once. So I did see, you know, like how a person opened up looks like. But I haven't seen like an actual brain surgery, and I don't even want to see it. Like I'm really glad that I didn't get the opportunity. Anyway, right, I'll end it here. I need to talk to Zeph. We have like a passive-aggressive relationship going on right now. I hope we're going to work it through. It's difficult. Dude, I got this writer, alright? And he writes like really good stuff, but like sometimes I don't really like how it comes out, so I change it. He gets upset. I'll see you guys in the next video. Take care.